What is going on, man?
Hello!
It is Pixel Partners here, and welcome back to Paranormasight. When we left off,
We started her journey
we have,
of being cursed bear.
and we see how she kind of got her stone very quickly. And
She hired him to help her investigate her son's kidnapping, but then all of a sudden she got a curse thing, and now she's like, "Hey, can you help me, like, kind of, like, kill people, kind of?" And he's like,
And his Sherlock came out, and he's like, "Sure, why the fuck not? Just don't kill anyone, please." All right. A nice thought. Some of the previous events. Oh, well, I don't need the previous events. That's fine. We already did the recap, okay? We did it better than this. Let's go.
We did it better.
It's 1 a.m. You're supposed to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
Are you staying at home? Well, you're in the reception room still. For now.
For now. Ah, yes, this room that I was trapped in. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't.
Because I died. What?
So all I can do is wait. And wait.
And think.
I know it's dangerous to go out. But I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her. For Michio Shiraishi. But first, I need to find more soul dregs.
Well, at least you got that sticker. I've already looked at all
Yeah.
those. Oh. And
Newspaper? What's this, a newspaper? Must have fallen off the chair.
Read it.
Read it. Duh. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Oh, it's not like I have anything better to do. Oh god. Look at the
Let's read the
culture.
society.
Okay.
Let's go from top to bottom. Look at society.
Looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it'd make my eyes water. Eventually the people started getting sick and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. Fun!
Fascinating. Anything else?
Society.
Well, I mean, society is what we did.
There's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police, if it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore, not since last year. Brings back bad memories. Throws it on the table.
Anything else? More society.
Suicide at local high school? Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure? What? But... no, this can't be right. Her name...
Oh boy.
Michio Shiraishi from Kamagata High School? It can't be.
I should probably think on that front then.
Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? But that means... Mr. Janochi was terrified of someone who already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I?
Maybe that's why I need to touch the phone.
Waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Ah! That must be him.
Answer. 7 days.
Oh god, stop. Hello, Shikima residence.
Hello?
An hour later?
It's a honking phone call right there. Why are we... okay. Oh, we're just gonna go meet him at the bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I have information for you.
Uh-huh.
I'm investigating for you.
Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Kamagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you.
Funny. I was just thinking the same thing. Let's look at this beautiful river together.
The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night when it's still, it almost looks peaceful.
Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home?
I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it.
Right. Could have guessed.
That was where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then.
That's not healthy.
Not at all. And I prayed to the river to give him back.
That's not healthy.
To give me back my son.
Oh, God.
Day after day after day. Richard's just like,
You know, in olden times, people believe rivers marked where our worlds met the next. The act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Nida was founded, the people of Chiro saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife, the same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsions accumulated there and took root.
whoa.
Then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Mireki. Just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. As it turned from farmland into a town, the people surrounded with the man-made rivers and crisscrossed with canals and waterways.
Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told.
They were, but that's not what they were for. The other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore, and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too.
So if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife?
Exactly. So the Rite of Resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. It's probably why the seven mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess I would make this spot we're standing now, right over the water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny they mentioned praying to the river. I might have done more than you think.
Is that supposed to make me feel better?
No. Just thinking aloud, ma'am.
Well, it's a nice thought.
I guess it's all the information they just said about all the spiritual border and all that. What spiritual mumbo jumbo? Let's look at the surroundings.
We're on Kamagata Bridge over the Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night.
Fascinating. Is there gonna be like a sticker
It's
around
like,
here somewhere?
I need to tell you something. Me too. And he goes on a whole spiel.
Hold on. I'm zoning out. I'm looking at the bridge. I'm looking for these funny little stickers. I don't see any though.
Out the
I'm just
Sumida
gonna
River.
double check. Technically, I already did that one. I don't know why I wants to do it again. Let's see.
Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you?
Go ahead. You've already said so much. Just go ahead and overshare fully, please.
Overshare fully. It must have been about 20 years now when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank.
Just like the afterlife.
How do you know that? You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating.
See? That's how I know.
One day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand.
What?
It
What?
was almost a miracle when you stop to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that, although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have an identifiable scar, and that they could tell had been a murder from the blade marks on the bone.
Wait. You talking about the NEJIMA murders?
So, you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time.
I was really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. Well, that's a whole fucking thing.
The NEJIMA murders.
A notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murder of a female high school student. First came to the attention of the authorities when part of the human left hand was discovered floating in the Sumida River. Testing revealed that it belonged to a missing female high school student, as it appeared to have been severed deliberately. At least launched. A murder investigation. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor, the stench was intense, and the divers quickly fell ill. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head and what appeared to be part of her leg before the search was called off. At the time of the incident, the Sumida River was as polluted as it had ever been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Oh my god. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public, as several of the young women had gone missing in recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground to a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Nejima, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. Investigation into his background was concluded, leading to his arrest. Najima testified that he had snatched his victim from the street and confined her in the underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking home at night.
Walking alone at night.
After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious.
Wow.
As she screamed suddenly behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her
proceeded to her wrists.
Yeah, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way inward slowly and methodically. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss.
Holy shit.
Najima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Sumida River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Once apprehended, Najima readily divulged the details of the murder, but was less willing to explain his motive. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me. I know it was wrong. Maybe a curse stone? I don't know what came over." In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggested that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence ever came to light.
Weird.
Najima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant.
Dang.
Well, fuck!
That's fucked up. Wow!
That's a face.
I was literally about to say that's a face. Like, I thought it, and then you said it.
That's a thumb with a wig on it.
A thumb with a wig.
All right.
God, terrifying. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill.
Sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny, everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I wouldn't want to go rooting around it down there myself.
That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace.
Oh?
You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again.
You saying what I think you're saying?
They arrested him shortly after, Fumichika Nejima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime, and people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end, but the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting?
It was fun, I guess I can say. Like I say, we don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the NEJIMA murders.
But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand.
Oh, my lollipop.
The police actually wrote me a thank you letter.
Hey, what? What?
They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Najima to justice.
But let me give this. They were really. Isn't your family a big part of it in the first place? I mean, your husband wrote you a letter to send you in the mail saying thank you for your justice of finding a hand? Alright, anyways.
That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me.
Oh. Oh. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day.
Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it.
Your father, the killer?
The killer.
Well, let's keep focused on this track then.
The Sumida River. I have nothing but awful memories of it.
Alright, what a fucking focus.
What a fun time.
You find anything, dude?
He's gazing down at the water. Oh wait,
Well,
the thing, I think. The gate, the railing or whatever. Can you... Nope, okay, it's part of the river, never mind.
yeah, it's just surroundings.
Never mind.
Alright, let's talk now after that. You go first. What did you find? I bet mine is so much more interesting.
Please, go ahead.
Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries, looking for curse bears. I think I found a few candidates.
Oh boy.
First, a tall man I ran into in Kinshibori Park.
Oh, him.
I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the questions right back around on me. And he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm not 40% sure he's a curse bear.
But he's not.
But his boss, I bet, is fucking... There's this middle-aged guy I saw on South
Warigasui.
Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. Didn't they ever say about him too? It was clear he was up to some shady business. Was that the street we were on when we got kidnapped and put in the dark box? So this might be the one that runs that one.
Mm-hmm.
Gathering soul drugs, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Except as a pair, a young man and woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. This time a man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bear. Told me I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often, looking for kindred spirits, would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Having soul drugs in a group might be a decent idea if you could make it work. But with things being how they are, it's gotta be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out.
Yay.
Since 2 detectives I've been sniffing around. I've seen sniffing around.
The police are involved?
Not necessarily. A body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then something's got to be up.
How do you know where they're from?
Let's just say that when you're in this business, there are some faces you get to know. Anyway, it's everyone's got my eye.
You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best.
Oh, you do flatter me. It's all in the name, ma'am. Richter Kai P.I. I'm your guy. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai. Investigator extraordinaire.
My, an investigator extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself?
You bet investigator extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in the outfit.
Well, that aside, middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising. Am I right?
Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. Seems like the curse bears are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there's still others we don't know about. So we hang fire and see how things play out.
Fire.
Once more bodies start showing up, that'll get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, our chance will come.
Now we get to tell you.
It's my turn now.
There's something I need to tell you.
What's up?
Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi.
The one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping.
That's her. Well, she's dead.
She's what?
The student who committed suicide last week. That was her.
I heard something like that happen. Never got the name, though. I don't read the newspapers. Talk about bad luck. finally get a lead, only find it's turned into a little dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Junichi was shaken up. Jonochi said she was going to curse him. He's talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave.
It seems like we're back where we started.
Not necessarily. That teacher knows something. I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her.
I see.
And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping.
Hmm?
In any case, I think we've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Called a hunch.
A hunch.
Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? What do you want to do? Huh?
Care to... Bless you.
He's got a good idea of what... I don't know what he's hiding.
I couldn't say. I'm just an ordinary housewife. Bless you. I'm not clever enough for all this.
Besides, my allergies, are you sure I'd had you done for sharper than that?
That's flattering, but I'm afraid you're mistaken.
Anyway, that's enough speculation for now. The truth will be out in time. Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Jonochi. Shall we go?
Is something wrong?
Not really. Just struck me. Been 20 years since the NEJIMA murders.
So it has.
Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing.
Hmm?
There's a hand right there, floating in the river. Oh,
No,
look at that.
oh, no.
Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only they are found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course.
That's right. I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society.
Hey, they've been trying to fix that recently. Matching inmates with jobs and accommodation.
Oh, really?
You keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities so they won't be recognized in the workplace.
My. The way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Nejima could be out on parole right now. Back in society under a new name with nobody any the wiser.
It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was NEJIMA, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind.
I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too.
That's a first. What was it?
I was passing Kamagata High School a little while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think, and I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Nejima.
Oh!
He looked a little different after 20 years.
That's what time does, yes.
Much thinner than I remembered, too. Told myself I was just seeing things. He didn't look like a thumb anymore. But perhaps it was him after all.
She beat me to the punch. I can't believe it.
So, what next?
The big question now is what the rest of the Cursed Bears are up to. The Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other Cursed Bears will come all the way here. Can finally have a moment to think.
I see. Alright. Suspend?
Is that the end of this branch? Is that what that means? Because I think that was kind of... Let me go ahead and look over the not persons of interest, back that up, the files and the how to play, and then the story chart.
Oh, if you return the story chart by using the suspend command that appears at certain points, it is the same as quitting and returning to the story chart.
There are 2 phases that must be completed. Fully completed chapter. If the chapter is finished while there are still tasks to be done, the chapter will not end, but will remain incomplete. Okay, so if I suspend...
Cannot currently progress any further. Once the situation is changed, select resume to try again. Pressing suspend will return you to the story chart.
Interesting. So we don't have enough information to actually keep that one going.
Huh.
So we have to focus on... Well...
Interesting.
These over here. So, I mean, we'll go through all three of these.
Yeah.
Something tells me that we focus on this one for the girl that goes to school.
The high school.
That if the janitor is something suspicious, that's where we'll find that information. But then again, we can find something with these two investigating the dead body in the park from a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You took some voices, so now it's my turn to take up with Tetsuo Tsutsumi.
Well, I mean, I do Aereo, so.
Yeah, but it's a back and forth. It's a give and take. All right. Tetsuo Tsutsumi. The Chief Inspector for the Metropolitan Police Department. First Investigative Division. Is investigating the mysterious death of a fellow officer. He has seen the incident. Former Yasuda Gardens with his subordinate, Jun Aereo. Let's go. Does that mean is Tetsuo the curse bearer?
That'd be interesting.
Or are you just playing from his perspective?
It could just be from his perspective.
It'd be interesting to see being tied alongside someone that has one of those stones.
Yeah. Hey boss, forensics is all done. The crime scene is clean. The other officers have all gone home. It's just us now. The park should be able to open and back up tomorrow, like nothing ever happened.
I doubt it'll get many visitors after everything that's happened.
You'd be surprised. Lots of people love that kind of thing, but they'll be lining up to get in. Fucking weirdo. Cold stuff's really popular right now. Did you not know that, boss?
Sounds stupid.
Well, it's not exactly rooted in science, but if ghosts really did exist, we could just ask them who the perp is.
Somehow I doubt it'd be that simple.
Oh, but you know, I've heard that high school girls are really into this spirit board thing these days. Supposedly you can call on spirits and talk to them by using a board with letters on it. Wouldn't that be something?
You can try it out yourself if you're so interested.
Hey, it's not a bad idea. Let's give it a go sometime, boss.
What now? Stop messing around. You really think we're gonna solve this case by moving a coin across a scrap of paper?
Sounds like you know all about it. You gotta be open-minded. What if that's how police work is gonna be from now on?
Don't make me laugh.
Boy, these two are a pair.
Hey, he's beer board.
Oh, it's one of those handmade ones.
Due to the occult craze, divination has become popular among young boys and girls. All one needs is a coin and a piece of paper with letters and numbers written on. Using these, all one has to do is ask a question of the called upon spirit and has okay. It's a Ouija board, but written on paper.
It's a handmade Ouija board.
Exactly. Listen up, Aereo. You can't go blaming the death of your buddy on something like the occult.
Oof. I don't care if it was ghosts or the occult or what. Whoever or whatever it was that did this. I'll get them. I promise you that.
We've got the right attitude, but we don't even know if this is a murder yet. Bias this week in our judgment. Get too fixated on one thing and you stop seeing everything else.
Aye, boss. So now that we've finished investigating the scene, let's review what we know.
Now? It's getting late. I figured we'd head straight home from here.
Come on, we've got to go over all the info we've gathered.
It's like new eyes are watching.
What better place to do that than here at the scene of the crime where we can soak up the atmosphere?
Soak up the atmosphere? The hell is there to soak up?
The dead body energy.
You must be really into this occult stuff if you get off on being in a place like this.
Wait, you mean being somewhere like this doesn't get your blood pumping? No way.
No, don't turn this around on me. I'm not the weird one here. Cripes. Fine, let's get this over with.
Aye, boss. God. Scene.
Let's look at the surroundings.
The former Yasuda Gardens here in Yokoumi Chome were originally built as part of a daimyo's estate back in the Edo period.
But I didn't even get my own thoughts.
Nope.
God damn it.
The park became city property a number of years ago and underwent extensive renovations. There's not a soul around at this time of night. Quiet doesn't even begin to describe it.
What about the scene?
This is where the victim was found.
I can't even monologue.
It's clean now.
It's fine. I don't like to think.
It almost feels like nothing happened here at all. Once an incident like this has come to pass, there's no going back. Not that knowing that is any consolation.
You gotta turn my back to you. Don't kill me. The pond.
This pond, they say, used to flow into the Sumida River. Did you know that?
God damn it.
But the river became so polluted that they cut it off to save the pond.
Looks like there's gonna be 2 officers that die in this fucking park.
Why are you being so aggressive?
I'm trying to think.
You are? Really?
Junario, detective in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. 1st Investigative Division. His rank is sergeant.
Damn.
This is his first time leading a case. It's like he's graduated from rookie to newbie. He looks put together on the outside, but acts like a kid most of the time. Honestly, the force could use more people like him. Hey, let me think to myself for once. About the case.
So, early in the morning yesterday,
Yeah.
a staff member found the victim collapsed here in the park and called the police when they realized he was dead. While there were no obvious external wounds, the fact that he was a police officer and the evidence of a struggle means it's likely that this was a murder. Sumida office sent it over to us since it involved the death of an officer, and we were tasked with the investigation. What we needed to do is figure out what happened and whether there was foul play involved. I think that about sums things up.
Brilliant. But apparently there's more about the case.
But, boss?
Yeah?
Is this case really important enough to assign to someone from the investigation division? I mean, a friend of mine died, so it's important to me, but...
It's all up to the higher-ups. I'm sure they've got their reasons.
Boss, you know something, don't you?
So, it'll all become clear in time. Try not to worry about it too much.
Thinking about it, the only thing we know for sure is the identity of the victim. That means there must have been something special about him, right?
You could say that again.
Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to. Some kind of secret or something.
You could say that again.
Isn't that right?
You could say that again. I'm pretty sharp sometimes, you know that. If you've picked up on that, then you should be able to put the rest together yourself. Let's think
there's
about
more.
the case more.
Well, it is our duty to get to the bottom of a suspicious death, especially one involving an officer.
Alright,
That's
that's
it.
done. About
Cool.
the victim.
The victim is Hajime Yoshimi, one of the juvenile division of the Sumida City Community Safety Bureau. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
27 years old, single. He mostly dealt with cases involving juveniles and education. His rank was senior police officer.
You knew him well, didn't you? What was he like?
Alive. Yes, we were in the academy together. We still went out for drinks together every month or two.
Look at that hair.
He could be a little rowdy, but he was like a big brother to us all. He was kind and cared about his friends. For better or worse, he wasn't the uptight type of a cop. The man always showed empathy, and I heard he was popular with the locals for it. He treated each and every troubled kid he met with compassion. He had a great track record when it came to rehabilitation.
Maybe should have worn his uniform instead of a track jacket.
He was off duty.
Sounds like we lost a good one.
Yes, we did. We truly did. I knew being a cop was dangerous. I knew something like this could happen, but...
It's never easy when it happens for real. I know the feeling.
He didn't seem to care much about climbing the ranks, but he was at the top of our class. Only problem was that he took on so much he had the most unfinished paperwork, too. I always felt we'd need an unusual guy like him to help us solve all our unusual cases.
Hajime Yoshimi, police officer with the Sumida City Community Safety Bureau, and was primarily responsible for juvenile education cases. He held the rank of head patrol officer and entered the force at the same time as Junario. Hajime was found dead under mysterious circumstances at the former Yasuda Gardens early in the morning yesterday. Once rebellious gang member himself, Yoshimi turned his life around and used his own experience to
that's why he
connect
has
with
that
troubled
hair.
youth as a police officer. While his appearance and demeanor suggest a man who was rough around the edges, he was a passionate, loyal, and caring man at heart, looked up to as a big brother by his peers. Yoshimi achieved stellar results in his work in juvenile cases, but his consistently sloppy paperwork and less than formal attitude essentially doomed his career and had him writing formal apologies on the regular.
Oh!
He left behind a fiancée whom he had been dating since high school.
Oh, that's sad.
Don't worry. You're plenty unusual yourself.
Me? I was the most normal of my classmates. Besides, the real weirdo among us quit the academy a long time ago.
There was one even weirder than you.
Rude.
We gonna talk about the weirdo? Let's talk about the victim.
Hajime was quite the bad boy in school, apparently. He ended up with the police a lot. Ironic. Said the officer in charge was good to him, helped him get back on track. The reason he wanted to become a cop was to pay his kindness forward. Said it was the first time he ever took his studies seriously.
It's a good story. Love that kind of thing. Makes me want to have a drink in his honor.
Please don't make fun of my dead friend.
Hey, I said in his honor. You should aspire to become the kind of cop people miss when they die in the field.
You say that like it's a sure thing I'll die. Besides, if I end up biting it, I'm sure you'll be the one who misses me most, boss.
Nah.
Come on, don't be like that. You'll hurt morale.
Well, I guess how much I'll miss you depends how this investigation goes.
I can already see it. Ariel, no, why'd you have to go and get yourself killed?
I have no idea what's going on in that head of yours.
Yeah, that'll be a sight to see. I can't wait.
You can't wait for your own death? Get it together, kid.
I like him so.
Sheesh, you really are something.
Thank you.
Any more about him? What about the victim's family?
The Yoshimi family is from Kita, Senju, and Adachi City. Adachi? But Hajime's parents died a long time ago. Some of you will get that. Adachi and Hajime in the same sentence.
Yeah.
He lived there all alone, no siblings or anything. I went to his house a few times for drinks. I was surprised. It's this huge, old-looking place. Like, you know, the kind of place that seems super haunted.
Did he live there alone?
It looked like the home of an old noble family. It was hard to imagine him being such a delinquent living in a house like that.
There's that bias I was talking about. If he's from an old family, I'm sure things were complicated.
That's a bias, too. He never talked about any of that, even when we were drunk, so I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah?
Hajime was engaged. He'd been seeing his fiancée ever since they were in school. Over 10 years. They just started talking about getting married. What was her name again? She showed me a picture once. She was a beautiful woman.
That's so. How terrible for her. But she may know if there's been anything going on with him lately. We should speak to her.
Yeah, his fiancée may have been his only confidant. I'm sure someone at the Sumida Police Department has already contacted her. I'll look into it tomorrow.
Perfect. Anything else, kid?
Hey boss? Looked into the case that Hajime was running.
No, great. It's kind of stuff I want to know. What was Hajime working on the day he died?
Well, according to his report from the day before, he had 2 cases involving juveniles.
Uh-huh.
The first was the suicide of a high school girl who jumped off a building in Kamezawa last week.
Ah. Yeah, I did hear about that.
Oof.
Jesus Christ.
Girl's name was Michio Shiraishi. Yeah, here's the picture. She was a second-year student in Kamagata High School.
Why do you carry that picture in your pocket?
I did. I brought it for today, but it seems as though Hajime had contact with her even before this incident. Even before this incident.
So she'd been in trouble for some time.
That's the thing. About a month ago, he happened to see her walking around town. She looked upset, so he struck up a conversation with her. He was sure there was something bothering her, but she wouldn't tell him what.
Must have been trouble at home.
That's what he thought too. It seemed he visited her home and spoke to her parents, but they said there was no problem, so there was nothing else he could do. And now she's dead.
That's possible he could have prevented her suicide then.
He must have been devastated. And that's why he was looking into this Michio Shiraishi again. He must have thought that something terrible had happened that drove her to end her life. But ultimately, he never reported the findings of investigation.
I see, and you think that it may have had something to do with his death. I'll have to find out what it is Hajime discovered.
Right, let's check with the Sumida Police Department about that tomorrow, too.
Fascinating. What else about the victim? What was the other case he was working with?
This one is also related to Kamagata High student.
Of course. This high school is cursed.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or genuine. A troublemaker named Hitomi Okuda. She seems to be the leader of a group of kids who get up to no good.
Juvenile delinquency. Fun.
You're a man of very few words, aren't you? She was pretty bad for a while. Multiple charges of destruction of property, assault and battery, you name it.
Dear God.
She may have been working with her for about 6 months, and she was finally starting to open up. Then he met the girl the day she died.
He died, but...
He died, never mind.
Every school's got its problems. But I'm sure he'd be worried about how she'd get on without him.
Right, just when she'd finally found an adult she could trust. She might act out without someone to help her get through this.
I'll have to make sure the Sumida Community Safety Bureau does their job. But
Hmm?
we can't rule out the possibility that meeting with this delinquent girl had something to do with his death. I'll have to interview her too.
Yes, you're right. She may have been that last person to see him alive, after all. We'll ask the meeting to introduce us tomorrow. Though, who knows if they'll actually let us talk with her.
That's what we hired you for. Lay a little boyish charm on them if they need convincing.
Yeah, I'm sure they prefer me over a scary-looking old man like you, boss.
Watch it, I'm still your superior. You ought to act like you respect me at least.
Oh, I thought I was.
You were? Shit, is that just how your generation speaks? You really are a new breed.
It's probably just me, actually.
I don't think you can get away with that with other people.
So anyways, boss.
Were you even listening?
We've got quite a bit to look into tomorrow. First, the 2 Kamagata high school cases that Hajime was handling. And we need to speak with his fiancée as well. I believe that's it for tomorrow.
Files. Oh, the notes on Hajime. Caused death, acute heart failure,
Yeah.
cause unknown. Signs of a struggle found at the scene, efforts to locate witnesses on their way, body discovered
Acute
by
heart
groundskeeper.
failure.
Currently investigating the fiancé of the deceased and 2 female students. Perfect. And then there's the bridge, just
Yep.
get rid of that. Cool. Right, is that about all on the victim? All right, we got a whole lot to go about now. We're gonna go over it next time.
Even though this is your route, I am doing so much talking.
I feel I was gonna say earlier, it's like even though this is I just love doing that. It's just so many T's, S's, and U's. It's fucking crazy,
You can call him
dude.
Mr. T.
Oh yeah. Okay, but I just love the fact that he has
It's
said
just
like,
Aereo.
he has done like 80% of the conversation.
Yeah.
And you know, to be fair, it's actually something that this game has kind of done so far. Is like the characters, granted, in the last one with the girl,
because
like,
you were doing so much talking as the detective.
but she did do more talking on her own, especially on her own. Whereas here, I look around and fucking Ariel fucking talks for me.
Yeah, because
and I
you
don't
just
even get
look
to have
at the
my own
surroundings.
thoughts.
And what if you do it again? I'm curious. All I can hear is the rustling of leaves. That and my own voice.
Yeah, I can only hear your own voice too. Same.
That was perfect.
Great ending. Christ.